Are animals capable of friendship? Compassion and mercy, even as the heroes of this issue will prove to you that animals are no less emotional than people. From baboons, from former antelopes, from cheetahs to hippos, in this issue, I will show you the most interesting and incredible cases of mutual assistance between animals that are definitely worth watching. A dolphin rescues whales. Few people know that even young and healthy whales can accidentally be thrown ashore, but it will still be a difficult task for them to return to the ocean when two washed up on the sand were found on the beach in New Zealand. A crowd of people immediately gathered around the sperm whales, who tried their best to help the giant, but 2 hours passed and all efforts were still in vain. The ocean waves repeatedly knocked the whales back to shore. When people were ready to give up, a local hero dolphin, nicknamed Moga, appeared off the coast. The inhabitants of the coast knew Moga well. He was not afraid of people, and often swam to look at them, and Moga also knew perfectly well how to solve the problem with whales. The dolphin swam as close as possible to the whales and froze for a few moments. Later eyewitnesses said that they were absolutely sure the dolphin said something to the whales. Of course, the motivating speech was inaccessible to human hearing, but after it, the apathy of the whales miraculously changed. Hope and the first attempt to push the whales into the ocean suddenly turned out to be successful, and the trio safely disappeared into the ocean depths. Many consider baboons to be one of the most stupid animals in Africa, but in fact it turns out the opposite. When these primates are interested in protecting their territory, they become perfectly organized and dangerous opponents that even large predators are afraid of. But are baboons capable of showing compassion to other species? See for yourself. In these frames we see a cheetah chasing an antelope. The predator has already overtaken the victim, but suddenly a whole group of baboons intervened in what was happening, and he had to retreat. Taking advantage of the numerical advantage, baboons surround the hissing cheetah and drive it away from the hunting area. Surprisingly, several primates even come up to see if everything is all right with the antelope. Of course, after the cheetah attack it is difficult to be all right, but the wounds turn out to be too serious. After a few minutes the antelope gets up and walks away, still surrounded by a flock of baboons. A bear saves a raven in fairy tales. Bears are often portrayed as kind and caring, but is this really the case? An excellent plot for a fairy tale story could be this plot from the zoo. The bear saved the raven. Most of you will object that he pulled it out of the water just to eat it, but let's not jump to conclusions. The raven flounders in the water for a long time before the bear finally notices him. However, instead of pinning down the bird with his paws, the bear gently grabs one of its wings with his teeth, pulling it onto the concrete side of the pool, after which the formidable predator loses interest in the raven, goes to his food bowl. At the same time, the raven lies by the pool for a long time, but in the end he manages to recover and stand on his paws. All this time the bear was standing with his back to him, and was not at all interested in potential prey. Perhaps the storytellers are right about something. By the way, this is not the only cute story caught on video with a bear and a raven. This video it was also filmed at the zoo in the enclosure of a polar bear, which mercilessly gets a feathered friend. The bear clearly understands that the crow is pecking him, but decides not to do anything, so friendship can be different. A whale rescues a seal in 2016. An amazing video came into the hands of scientists. Several killer whales circled around a lone seal that was drifting on an ice floe in Antarctica. The killer whales surrounding the ice floe tried to shake the prey, and the death of the seal seemed inevitable, but then something amazing happened. Suddenly 2 humpback whales appeared. A potential victim by that time already almost fell into the water, but one of the whales literally transplanted the seals onto his back. The humpback was just turning over in the water and arched, which is why the seal began to roll into the water, but the whale moved him back with his pectoral fin and brought him to a safe place. The dog saves the deer. Dog breeders know that Labradors and Golden Retrievers just love water. During the next open water swim, the hero of our story turned into a lifeguard. Noticing a drowning fawn in the water, the dog gently intercepted him by the skin and delivered him to the shore, pulling the fawn onto the sand. He carefully sniffed and looked around all sides, and then refused to leave the shore until the patient recovered. While a dog named Storm tried. No wonder, the deer survived and yourself limped into the forest in search of the lost herds. And here's another story about the relationship between the deer and the dog. This time they managed to become best friends, but nature can often be found. If not the close friendship, the comradeship between adult members of different species. It seems that animals also understand perfectly well that it is much easier and more convenient to exist in the world this way. There is nothing to divide, you say, but what about the predator and its prey? Are they able to disperse in different directions? Can hungry carnivores show mercy to a weak victim? Look further to find out all the most interesting and unexpected details. The lion saves the wildebeest. This story can be safely considered the most amazing in this collection. The lion and the wildebeest are eternal opponents of prey and sacrifice, two creatures who simply are not able to live peacefully in the same territory. But not this time. The female lion goes hunting, but instead of the whole herd discovers a lone antelope cub wildebeest. Instincts tell her to immediately cling to the victim, but the predator hesitates, and then generally changes her mind. For a while she stands next to the cub as if soothing and stroking his. The most amazing thing happens next. When another lioness tries to attack the baby, our savior rushes in front of her and protects her ward. Could it have been just a cunning move and deception of prey, which they decided to leave for later? Anything can happen in the wild, but I like the story and the good ending better. Monkeys come to the rescue. Following the history of this collection especially touching, and know that monkey from one of the pack will often come to each other on help, but in this case, the primacy is clearly not new. How to help friend on video which was shot in India got fixed. The monkey, he crossed railroad tracks, but accidentally stepping on the bare wire and got a huge shock around the victim already torn his companion. But how to help this case? He does not know. There are a lot of people on the platforms around the tracks. Many are filming on camera, but no one can help. Right there it is forbidden to descend on the way by the rules, and who knows what other metal parts are under high voltage. But came to the aid of the monkey. Clearly do not lose hope despite the fact that her ward no signs of life. He bites and beats him repeatedly. Dip in the water. After a few repetitions a witness becomes painful to watch. A futile effort. But here's a surprise. The monkey still manages to revive fellow, and after a few minutes they go from the station along. What is another lesson from our smaller brothers? Never give up. Hippos or herbivores save crocodiles afraid of everything, well, except for the hippos, and decided that reptiles violate the boundaries of their territory. In an attempt to protect their possession, hippos often help herbivores avoid capture. Often all they are doing is not going to just repel predators from their borders and the most give the chance trapped victim. In these shots, several crocodiles surround the wildebeest and try to drag it under the water. They almost succeed, but in the heat of the struggle they do not get too close to the group of hippos. The giants do not intend to tolerate offenders and calm and then attack of crocodiles, forcing them to retreat. But on new and do not pay no attention. Slip through the herd. Hippos or herbivores were able to safely to get to the shore and retreat, but still one roller at this time. The hippos spoil crocodiles hunting a zebra, and hippos do not eat zebras and crocodiles is quite far from the water. All it says is about what crocodiles can be guilty of trespassing, or we have to admit that hippopotamuses are not alien to mercy, or they just really annoying crocodiles. Most likely the view and the other caring for cubs in the animal world. There are many species in which the maternal instinct is weakened or completely absent, but elephants are not among them. Every time a cub gets into trouble, a good half of the herd rushes to his aid. In the wild, elephants love water, but it's not easy for young animals to get used to it. Look at how quickly adults rush to help the baby elephant, who begins to drown in a stormy stream. And here is a record from the zoo, where to the fallen two elephants who were nearby are racing into the elephant's pool. The next story is much more dynamic. The elephant lying on the ground and obviously can't get up independently. Gathered around the herd tries to help him, but the situation is very complicated, frozen in place. The group had already noticed the lions, but to throw the baby elephant to the mercy destiny, no one is going to have the strongest and powerful members of the herd formed between relatives and their predators' living wall, which continues to stand until while the elephant is unable to raise and to get to a safe distance. The best shepherds, when we think about animals, shepherds usually present a large breed of dog, but Australian farmers have a different opinion. They believe that there are no better shepherds than donkeys in the state of Queensland.